10th segment, episode 1, Carver Ranches. Growing up in Carver Ranches. So, if you like the stream, you know what I'm saying, you know what to do, like it. Let me know. So, hope everybody out there doing good today, having a good day on this hump day. And we bringing you this podcast to introduce you to DangerHouse Records. Also, to me, which is a CRP DJ. I'm gonna speak on my life and growing up in Hollywood, Carver Ranches area, which is in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. You know, you have Carver Ranches, Hollywood, Miramar, Lake Forest, and Hollandale. You know, growing up in that area was great as a kid. Everybody, we were all friends. We knew each other. Played basketball at the local parks: Carver Ranches Park, Washington Park, Lake Forest Park. As we got older, went to high school, we decided to go venture out and play basketball at Cagney Park and park in Miramar, I forget the name of it, on University. But we gonna introduce y'all to different segments. We got segments with cooking and Universal Studios Hours of Adventure. We also got Boss Talk with Mob Full of Bosses. And they gonna have their music links on there as well. We also gonna have a new Facebook page for the One Motion and for the Mob. Shout out to DangerHouse Records, Jeepers, my cameraman and engineer Joe Bo the Hobo. He helped me set all this stuff up. Without him, I probably wouldn't be doing none of this. Also, shout out to basically just everybody. So let's get into it. My story is kind of long, and I'm not going to go into much detail on it because I don't know how, you know what I'm saying? But growing up, I was stabbed when I was 7 years old. And me and my mom, we told a story, and it was wrong every time. She told me to lie about it because she didn't actually want nobody to know the truth. So we were living in Texas, and I was about 6, maybe 7 years old. And my mom was on drugs bad. None of us knew. We just only thought she smoked marijuana, but that wasn't the case. You know, she was doing cocaine really bad. You know, so she was working for a law firm when we was living there. Several different, guys. She didn't really. I'm not really gonna go into context about it. But the night we got stabbed, he had the killer put gas in her gas tank so she couldn't drive. So the car had been out of commission for about 2, 3 days. So every evening, early, like 8, 7, 8 o'clock, she would walk me up to the gas station to get money for my lunch that day because we didn't have the lunch program at the school where I was at in Texas. So as we was coming home, a taxi cab passed by us, asked us if we need any help. Told them no, we was right down the street from the house, so wasn't that far. The apartment complex was right there next to us. So he drove off, and then a man walked up on us, and he asked me. He said her name. Said my mom's name, Betty, and she turned around, and the guy grabbed me, and he held the knife to my neck. Got the scar know me, you done seen the scar. And he held a knife to my neck, told her they wanted their money. And she was like, I don't have your money. You know, I don't know when I'm going to have your money. At this time, I'm 7. I don't know what's going on. You know, all I'm knowing is the man got a knife to my neck and I'm about to die. So he slashes me across the neck and said he's serious. And she told him, I know when you're going to have the money. So she starts to scream and yell. And some neighbors in the apartment complex next to us heard it, came out, and turned on their lights. Next thing you know, he stabbed me directly in the stomach, came up with the knife in my stomach, and then pulled it out. And then she lunged at it, and then he stabbed her in the muscle in the arm. So that was, you know, really, 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 really rough. They said I died 2 minutes, and when I came to, I had half a stomach, and was told that I was going to be on medication for the rest of my life. A lot of people don't know this about me, but, you know, it's coming out now, and I want everybody to hear that you can go through a lot and still be here. Like Steve Harvey say, we are 100 over 100 over the things we've been through. God ain't gonna put you through nothing you can't handle. I don't care what nobody tell you. You know, I'm a prime example of it. So after this, we moved back. Her drug use got even worse. Started doing crack at this point. And we moved in. We stayed with my grandmother for a little while before she passed away. And she passed away. I heard several stories, heart attack, stroke, you know, but you never know. I was 9 years old, so I was in elementary school when it happened. So the day she died, and we had the funeral that following weekend, my family, my mom was out there on drugs, my dad wasn't around, and my dad's grandmother was always there for me. Mommy Quillicoop. She owned an insurance company on Pembroke Road next to Dr. Seymour's office. And if you grew up where I grew up, you know all these things that I'm talking about. So if you didn't grow up near A1 on 56 and Hollywood, Carver Ranch area, you won't really know. The store is still left. Everything is still left from when I grew up. But so after this, we had the funeral that day. I stayed at my auntie's house maybe one day, and then I just left because nobody would let me live with them. I had no family. I was maybe 10. So I'm walking around, living on the streets of Carver Ranches, sleeping in the rock pit where there's alligators in the rock pit. Somebody threw baby alligators over there. It was a quarry, a rock pit quarry near where I grew up. And I slept over there for probably about a week, maybe 2. And then a friend of mine, his grandmother owned a storehouse by Carver Ranches Park. Brandon Jenkins' parents let me live with them. Well, his grandmother let me live with them. And then maybe 3 weeks went by. And then I went to my great-grandmother's house, Mommy, my dad's grandma. And she taught my dad into coming to get me. So at this time, I'm just an average kid with no family, basically. So he comes and picks me up. I go and live with him for 3 years. The 3 years that I lived with him, living in Bradenton, Florida, in between Sarasota and St. Petersburg, was 3 of the hardest years of my life. I went to a school called Bradenton Middle School, and Bradenton Middle was one of the worst schools in the United States. We had horseback police every day after we got out of school. There was a fight every day. There were 3 recorded rapes one of which I stopped and got suspended for 2 weeks. So this is not a school that you wanted your kids to grow up in. Predominantly black, next to the projects. Growing up in the hood is just how it was for black people. You didn't have no real money. The projects was 1-story green projects, and one of the people that I knew growing up that I played football with in the backs of Carver, Avondale, because we lived in Avondale. My dad lived there for 30 years. So we used to play football. We started playing football in the back of Avondale. And then all the neighborhoods and little apartment complexes saw us doing it. So they started getting their own teams and coming out there. This was around 1985. And they never had a football team in Bradenton where I grew up at. Not no Pal, Warner, or nothing like that. So we would play football back there. We would go and play basketball on the courts at the little park where the pool is by Foodland. Used to be the Piggly Wiggly when I was growing up. We had Piggly Wigglies and Winn-Dixies. That's all we really had, Piggly Wigglies and Winn-Dixies. You had Albertsons too. That was a big grocery store chain. But they disappeared after a while. Publix always been there. So as I'm going to the school in Bradenton, which ended up becoming a police athletic league some years later, turned it into a PAL center and shipped the kids off to other places. There's a couple of people that can attest to what I'm saying. I don't know if Peter Ward, he played football for Florida State. He was going there when I was there. I don't know if he remembered some of the stories that went on. But one day I was back there. We had archery class behind the trains. Now, Tropicana, the orange juice company, is based in Bradenton. Their main warehouse is here. And they didn't really own most of the land over there. It was owned by families, and they had homes over there. And Tropicana bought all the land. But back there where their trains were, we would go back there, and they would go back there and hang out, smoke cigarettes and stuff. This is the 80s, 85, 86. So we was young kids in between we in middle school, 6th grade to 8th grade. So these kids, some of them white kids were very, very bad. And it was still racism like crazy. I got stories about when I was in elementary school up here at Shaw Elementary. The teacher hit me in the back of the head with an eraser and called me a nigger in front of the whole class. So I turned around and threw a desk at him. I was upset. So, growing up here it was in those times it wasn't really good. And at the school that day, it was 3 white boys trying to rape a white girl back there. So I went back there because one of my friends, he told me what was going on, and he's like, it done happened before, and don't nobody do nothing. So I went back there and politely did something about it. Beat both of them up, all 3 of them actually. One of them I almost put in the hospital, and they suspended me. They almost arrested me that day, and they suspended me from school. And I was in middle school. I was suspended for 2 weeks. So I had been suspended before. I had been suspended in elementary school for the incident with the teacher. And that day, I got the worst beating I ever got in my life. For getting suspended. My dad was upset, but he understood. And that Christmas came around, and that started the abuse, and it made me really, really tough and can go through anything in life. So we had Christmas, and we had Christmas presents hid in my parents' closet, my dad and my stepmom's closet. So my sister convinced me to go and look. I go and look at them. My little brother runs down there and tells my dad. He comes back in with the fan belt on the car. He beat me with the fan belt. That was the first beating I got from him. That could have put me in the hospital. I got beatings before, but never like that. snitching on me, and he would beat me like there was no tomorrow. Some days I wouldn't be able to sit down. You know, it was rough. You know, I guess he thought he was making me a man or something. I don't know. But that was really, really hard on me being you know, being beat. So he took a 2x4, right, and shaved it down, made a handle out of it, a long handle, man. Put some grip tape on it, and put some screws in it so you can hear it coming when you whistle, when it whistles. Now, all these time I'm getting these beatings, he thinking it's me being bad and lashing out. The whole time it's stuff that I'm going through at the school. They weren't really teaching us, so everybody's in school's grades fell behind. We were all lagging in our classes, C's and D's. Nobody was really getting A's and B's, you know, and he would get upset if I came home with a C. If I came home with a C, I would get a beating. I would get like 5 or 6 licks with the paddle. A D, that was 7. And if I came home with an F, that was 10. You know, so he had all this written down on the piece of wood. Man, this stuff is like, you know, it's crazy, but it's real life. That's how he was abused when he was younger. You know, a lot of stuff, people don't know stuff about my father. You know, even though I found out when I was in my 40s that he's not really my dad, he is the only father I knew. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to respect him as that. You feel me? Even though he wasn't there for me as much as I would like him to be, he was there for me and did help me in some way. So all this time I'm taking these beatings. He don't know that it's the school that's, we going through all this stuff at school every day. We fighting every day for our lives. People getting stabbed. That was way before people were shooting. People getting stabbed. We got, one day, it was 3 of us walking home, and the cops on the horses was walking by, and one of the cops remembered me because they tried to arrest me that day for stopping the rape. They beat us up, all 3 of us. We walked home with bloody lips and everything. I got home. He didn't know what happened. So he had just assumed I got into a fight, and I told him, explained to him what happened. He didn't believe me and beat me that day. Got a beat for that. So, I mean, Bradenton in the 80s was not a great place. It was really not. I got bit by my homeboy's Rottweiler one day, trying to beat the 5 o'clock lights coming on. In my house, you had to be home at 5. If you didn't get home at 5 on the street lights, you get beat. You get towed up. So I was trying to make it home, and the basketball flew into his kennel where the dogs was. We had been in there hundreds of times. So today, I guess the dog wanted to grab a hold of my leg, bit my leg all up. So I walked home with bleeding and everything. No, actually, my friend's dad carried me home. And then my dad came home. They took me to the hospital. And he was very upset, mad, cussing. And he was going to beat me when I got home. And, you know, he's all up in an uproar about this one. So after I healed up, I got a beating for that one, too. For coming home 5 minutes after curfew because I got bit by a dog. So I went, after that, my stepmother, who really loved me, my brother and mother, I loved her to death. She was like my other mother. You know, she helped me to get away from the abuse and go back down to Hollywood, Carver Ranches. Well, actually Hollywood at the time. And I lived with my mom for a little bit. And then, I lived with my grandmother for a little bit in Carver Ranches. And her house was just horrible. Roaches everywhere. She boiled baked peanuts in the oven every day. Roaches crawling all over everything. Cats. Just a really, really bad place. Stayed with her for a little while. My mom was still out there on drugs. So, you know, I couldn't really stay with her. So then when I did go stay with her and we lived on 44th Avenue in Carver Ranches. And my stepdad at the time, Roscoe, he was a mean SOB, you know. And I think that was after we stayed, because we lived in Plant City, and we lived on what is called the Horseshoe behind Burger King on 41 and the liquor store. So we I think it was about my 13th birthday, 12th birthday or something. I was still in middle school, and I came home that day. I had left early that day because my stepdaddy had beat my mama up with a boot, and he abused her every day for a while for multiple of stupid reasons about having to do with drugs. You know, because he's still a crack from her, which, if you know anything about people that was on drugs back in them days, back on crack, it wasn't good for him. It wasn't good for him at all. So I come home this one day, and there's a man sitting in my living room, Spanish man. Never seen him before in my life, not that I knew. So he says my name, and he's like, "How you doing, DJ?" And I'm like, "I'm all right." So, I'm going to my room. He tells me, "Come here. I need to talk to you. You know, we need to hash out some things that's been overdue." And I'm like, "I don't know what you need to hash out with me. I ain't never met you before." And he's like, "Yes, I have met you before. I'm the guy who stabbed you." So I'm like, "Okay, so why are you even in my house? We should," I'm looking at my stepdaddy like, what you gonna do? You just gonna let this man come in here? You supposed to be a gangster. You supposed to be a drug dealer and doing all this stuff, but you ain't doing nothing about it. So he tells me my mom's sitting over there in the corner. She hadn't got beat up and was high on crack at the time. And he tells me that my mom's dead from when he stabbed me when I was 7. Went from 50,000 to 150,000. We're poor. I don't have that kind of money. So they told me what I had to do was work for them. So this is something that only my stepdad and my mom knew, and my best friend, God bless the dead, rest in heaven, T-Rock. He knew, you know what I'm saying, and he helped me get through this. So from that day, that's all I was able to do was sell drugs to pay off the debt. So when I hit high school, I started selling my own little weed on the side. And this is in between 1990 to 94. So I'm selling a little marijuana to, people on the side. And sitting at a window at night selling drugs for somebody, to pay off the debt. So I finally reached out to somebody I knew that knew how to work that type of business. And he taught me the game. He had 2 clubs. I used to go to his clubs, and you know what I'm saying? I got to see Tupac perform, Biggie, Trick Daddy, JT. Them used to come there all the time, Club Inferno, And after that, it was a cakewalk. I didn't make no real money, so I wasn't no baller, but nobody knew what I was doing. But we was always able to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Me and my friends, we would go to, my best friend Trevor and his mom would go and play cards on the weekend. So we would have his house to ourselves all weekend. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go get a bottle. We'll hit the skating ring in Fort Lauderdale Friday night and Saturday night. And then we'll shoot down there with all the ballers and they drop tops and they verts. You know what I'm saying? With their 30s and they triple gold Ds. We started that. Florida, Miami started that. Big rims and flashy paint jobs and Gucci interior. You know what I'm saying? So we used to shoot down after we go skating, we shoot down to the Pat Jam. Or I'll stop at, pick up what I need to pick up, drop it off on my way. Get to the Pat Jam. We'll go in the Pat Jam. Mr. Pat Jam was a teen club. And my sister's boyfriend, one of the twins, got killed out Pack Jam was our way of releasing that stress from going to school during the week. Wasn't no alcohol, or, you know what I'm saying? We smoked weed, so we got to smoke weed in there, but that was about it. Wasn't no alcohol, nothing like that. So once we would leave the Pack Jam, it'd be like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll head over to 119 because that was like our Crenshaw. Anybody growing up in the Miami's from, I say, 1985, I mean not 85, 88, 89, until 99, know about 119. Big Daddy's Liquor, the strip clubs on that street, it's 2 or 3 of them. And we used to go out there and hang out all night. All the DJs used to set up walls and play music all night long. My best friend T-Rock was one of the best DJs, in my opinion, that I ever grew up with. Because we used to DJ the parties at the parks, in Carver Park, Dixie Park, Washington Park. We had our Lagoon Bay Festival in Carver Ranches. We would get DJ that sometimes. Audio Funk DJs were well known. But you had Uncle Al, you had Sugar Hill, you had all these different groups that would battle. Walls of speakers. We could set up and have a block party, block off the whole street and have a block party all day long, and not be worried about no cops and not be worried about nobody shooting nobody. So, doing all that growing up, I mean, it was kind of fun, but it wasn't really kind of fun. It was always liable for you to get shot or killed or stabbed by somebody. When the 90s came around, it was bad in Miami. It was bad for a while. You had Zopound, which is they called the Haitian Mafia, and then they portrayed them as Jamaicans in different movies. But them boys made some really big moves towards Colombians and Cubans back in the day, to make themselves a name. You feel me? So growing up, me watching all this and being poor, that's all I gravitated around. The whole time, my sisters, they off somewhere. My brother, he living with his family. You know what I'm saying? It's just me. Me and the old girl, me and my mama and my stepdad. Which I really didn't like, but I ended up loving the man because he really did love my mama after he stopped abusing her. So when I got old enough and I made enough money, I helped and talked to one of the pastors, God bless dead Pastor Cheryl Culpepper, and she helped get my mama off of drugs, and that was a big thing for me and my family, and that really changed a lot of the perspective about her and my perspective about her, because she got better and helped an abundance of people. She might have made mistakes. Everybody make mistakes along the way, but she helped an abundance of people. You know what I'm saying? So all this time I'm doing this stuff behind her back. I'm not making any money, but I'm keeping them alive because that was one of the stipulations he gave me. He said I couldn't tell nobody what was going on, but if I stopped doing what I was doing before that debt was paid off, he was going to kill my entire family, and I couldn't let that happen. My family don't know this. They just hearing this now because I'm just now coming out telling the story. You know what I'm saying? So once I find out this, and I'm doing all this, making all this money, me and my friends, we going to hang out, we going to the clubs. None of them see none of what's going on. We would go on Saturday morning to the flea market, the Carol Mart in Carol City, where we hit USA Flea Market, and we would buy outfits and shoes to wear to the club every weekend. We got abundance of weed to smoke, and these boys don't know what's going on. All they know is we having fun growing up. We had bottles of liquor every weekend. My other best friend Winston, he had his own vehicle, so he would come down every now and again. Sometimes he wouldn't come down. We just hang out and have fun. So while I'm doing all this, Another one of my good friends, he passed away. His name was Ivan, called Flossy B. Ivan was the manager at football. So all through high school, we were able to get Jordans. I got the Andre Agassi's when they came out in '94. You get all these shoes for free and for the low. You know what I'm saying? 2 weeks before they came out. So, we were dressed nice, pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? But not nothing too flashy. So we going to school, we dressing nice, we going out to hang out, partying and stuff like that on the weekends. Everybody that, was hanging out basically just 'cause we ain't have nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? Some of us played sports. That was really the only way to get out the hood. Either you was a singer or you played sports back then. Now you can be a YouTube influencer and make shit money. You feel me? So, it's all independent on how you live your life. So when I'm doing all this, my family is unaware that any of it is going on. So I did this, paid off her debt, and they finally let me go. So I went to college in Tallahassee, and I went up there with about 10, 15 grand in my name, and this was '94, and I met this guy on campus. Well, actually, let me talk about my young friend. I met this they was bothering this kid. He was about 11, 12, maybe 13 years old on Florida State's campus. Now, this is my first week on campus. I already registered at Tallahassee Community College. My sister had and gave me her apartment, Seminole House Apartments, and I'm living there. That was actually the same place they called Jeffrey Dahmer living at. Ted Bundy used to pick up girls near there too. They said in the 70s. So they was messing with him. I stopped them from messing with him. One of the guys, he knew me from Fort Lauderdale. We were from Fort Lauderdale playing a basketball game, Miramar against the Flying L, from like a freshman, So he remembered me. He stopped messing with him. The little kid was actually a prodigy and very highly intelligent and smart, and so he taught me how to make drugs and GHB and different types of things, and cut my cocaine and cut my crack and all that different type of stuff. So I learned a lot of stuff from him. He taught me how to make ecstasy, all kind of different type of nonsense. So I took all that knowledge, and I met a professor who has passed away now, and I won't say his name, but he introduced me to ecstasy in 1994. Ecstasy was prescribed to marital couples who were having intimacy issues. That's what it originally started out being for. They found out that it takes the endorphins from the pleasure centers of your spine and shoots them to your brain, and you get an abundance of pleasure, what we call blowing up. That was the only other drug I took besides smoking. I smoked dirties for a little bit, but it wasn't my thing. Couldn't, that's not no good thing to do. So, once we did all that, once he taught me all that, the stuff that I was doing on the side, just it make no sense but not to make more money. The whole time I'm getting, I ain't even gonna lie, I'm getting keys for the 12, 5, 13, various sources. I would just give them to other people. I didn't want the drug. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a killer. I'm not a murderer. Or none of that. I'm a hustler. I make money. I take care of my family. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? I can introduce you to people that, do that, but that's not my thing. And most of the people that used to do that, they already gone, passed away. You know what I'm saying? So I just try my best to stay focused on my kids and my grandkids that I have right now. So I'm going to college and meet this cat, and he teach me how to steal vehicles. So I get in the down. I'm stealing cars, doing all kind of crazy nonsense. We going to different places. You know what I'm saying? We learn. We get with this cat. He teaches us how to he do fake IDs for us, pay him money. We travel. We got to see a lot of stuff. We got to do a lot of things. And see, anybody who try to look this up, there's no records of it. I did a great job of hiding everything. So, if I could hide this life from my entire family for 30 years, there's nothing that any police or FBI agency could try for me. So, I made sure that everything was hidden. And I never kept a record. I never took a picture. A friend of mine found a high school yearbook picture of my freshman year. That was the last picture I took until I was almost 30. There were some pictures in college that I got rid of, but them was just pictures of days of me and my homeboys hanging out. So we couldn't keep none of them. But this life that I've lived is not for the faint of heart. I'm being honest with you. You know, I was dating this girl when I was in high school. She was crazy. You know what I'm saying? My brother and them don't know. She shot me with a 22. I got a little scar on my stomach to prove it, you know. I done been shot. I was shot in the back when I was about 20. My family, I didn't talk to them that much, so nobody knew when I was living in Tallahassee. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I tell the story to different people, different ways. You feel me? But the true story is I got shot mistaken identity. Somebody thought I was somebody else. You know, I got a big old scar, a big old hole in my back. You know, and my family thought it came from when I got stabbed, but it wasn't. I have scars on my back from where the knife came out when I got stabbed when I was 7, but that's not where the big scar comes from that's on my back. You know, so I don't know how long I've been streaming and record, but in a minute I'm gonna cut it. Oh, it's only been like 39 minutes. I can go home like 20 more minutes, maybe an hour. So I'm in college. I'm making money. We going to Capitol Wow every year. We going to Daytona Beach Black College Reunion. We going to Freaknik until they shut it down in '99. You know, we used to go to Magic City sometimes. You know, we wasn't no ballers like, you know, Big Meech and all them boys like that. So I kept to the shadows and kept to the background. Most of the time it was just me by myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I never really ran with nobody. You know, my best friend lived in Hollywood in Carver. So everybody I ran with was just pieces put in place. You know what I'm saying? For things that I needed that I did. You know? So the going to Mardi Gras was my biggest thing. I love going to Mardi Gras every year. My birthday normally fall on Fat Tuesday because it's in February. They say they changed up the dates. I think it's in March now, but when I was growing up, it was in February. So we used to go to Mardi Gras every year. Go to Mardi Gras. We buy clothes, stop in Pensacola, buy clothes. You know what I'm saying? Outfits to wear. You know, we had our little chains, bracelets, shit like that. Crosses and stuff. I had a cross with that was all silver with diamonds in it. And I had a Movado, all silver Movado. Because I didn't really like rocking all that expensive stuff because that brings attention to yourself. Everybody had these flashy cars and wearing all this flashy expensive jewelry, and I wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? I took to the motto that, you know, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world believe he didn't exist. You know, and that's how I lived my life. You know, I was the one that they thought was just never there. I was in the background of everything. just looking and listening to what was going on. You know, my plan and my strategy was when I got to college, I was gonna make $1 billion. You know, but I ended up traveling and seeing the world. You know, and being able to go to Amsterdam and Ireland and Africa and stuff like that, China, Japan. You know, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I've been in almost 40 different countries. DR, Puerto Rico, you know what I'm saying? Brazil, Colombia, a couple times. Cuba, you know. We used to drive down to Key West. We was in high school, and we used to rent jet skis and take the jet skis to Bimini, Bahamas, which is 45 minutes away on a jet ski if you know where you're going. We used to pick up 100-pound bales of marijuana and bring them back. And this was in the 90s. So that's over 30 years ago. You know, it was a crazy time back then. You know what I'm saying? But it was fun for us. Especially if we didn't get caught. We didn't know what we was doing. You know, you had to always make sure you know what you're doing when you get yourself into something. Because if you don't know, anything's possible to happen. I got friends who did 30 years behind somebody else foolishness. Because they done planned something with somebody, and that person done screwed it all the way up. So, listen to me. I'm not telling you this just to be telling you this. This is to help as many people as I can. We're going to be coming to you. I'm going to stop it right there. But we're going to be coming to you with content from, hopefully we're trying to get to my homeboy Munyon. He's in prison right now, wrongfully accused of something that his cousin did. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get audio and, be able to speak with him while he in there. He also has music. His name is Munyon on DangerHouse Records. All this is attached to this YouTube channel that we have, One Motion. You got DangerHouse Records, which consists of Mob Full of Bosses, Shado Prince, Jeepers, 340 Reek or 350 Reek. I can't think of my other boy name. Stray. And one time shout out for Stray. So, and Brian, our producer and the engineer where we get their beats from, we putting up content from Shado Prince, from him singing a whole song in Japanese. And that was recorded at Brian's studio. You have content if you want to reach out to Brian and record a studio session. We're gonna put all this up on the web page. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to open up a One Motion Facebook page where everything that goes up on One Motion will be put on that page as well. So you can reach out to us on that page. Click the like button if you like this. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? If you want to leave me any type of comments, what you want to hear me talk about, or if you have any questions or, concerns, I'm here for everybody. This is for, I'm doing this to try to help people. You know what I'm saying? We got different segments. We got cooking. We have the mob. We're going to add as many of their music videos as we can. If you have a music video that you want to send to us, we'll put it up on our page and on our, website. My cousin, Boss Lady, Daniqua Abel, look out for all her music. She is also doing a show in Miami this coming Friday. Jap Vision, look out for Jap Vision. Jap Vision is our comedy segment that's going to be on here. We're doing our first live on the 30th. No, on the 6th, my bad, on the 6th. Because the 30th, I am going to my nephew's football game. He plays for Stetson University. Shout out to Montez. Go Stetson Hatters. And that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to keep y'all posted for when the second version of Common Sense Growing Up the Carver Ranches comes out. I left a lot of stuff out, but it's all good. It's all content. I can bring it up at any other time because it's love all y'all. Y'all be safe. You know what I'm saying out there? And try to treat each other better. Because this world is going crazy. And as long as Trump in office, that's how it's going to be. You know? And I don't think we're ever going to get another black president.